So the Asus ROG Ally has been out for quite some time now. It offers gamers a really good spec handheld, coming in at $700 for the Z1 Extreme model and $600 for the regular Z1 model, which has yet to be released. The Steam Deck, on the other hand, has been a juggernaut in the handheld gaming market, coming in at a much more affordable price entry of $399 for the 64 gig variant, and it's amassed a huge following. Its ability to offer a simple and console-like experience is one of my favorite things about the Steam Deck. So how do the two hottest gaming PC handhelds compare to one another? Let's find out. So starting off, we're going to talk about one of the biggest differences between these two devices, and that is the screens. On the Steam Deck, you'll find a 7-inch IPS LCD screen with a 60Hz refresh rate, a native resolution of 1280 by 800p, and it gets up to 400 nits of brightness. The colors on the Steam Deck screen could be better as it only covers about 70% of the RGB range. On the other hand, the ROG Ally just comes out swinging with a 7-inch touchscreen LCD panel with a 120Hz refresh rate, doubling the refresh rate found on the Steam Deck. It can get up to 500 nits of brightness, and it also has AMD FreeSync Premium to help prevent those nasty screen tears and stutters during gameplay. But it gets even better than this because it covers about 100% of the RGB spectrum, so the colors displayed on the screen are vibrant and accurate. So yeah, when it comes to the screen, hands down, it has to go to the ROG Ally. Sometimes I'm literally shocked that I'm playing a game at 100 FPS on a handheld like the Ally. And I'm super grateful that Asus knocked out of the park with the screen because it just increases competition, so when a new gaming PC handheld comes out, it has to kind of compete with the screen, so us consumers, we just get a better product in the end, and we all win, right? So when it comes to feel, design, and comfort, the ROG Ally and Steam Deck both feature an ergonomic shape that is easy to hold in the hands. But I found that the Steam Deck's shape just really fits in my hand like a glove. It just has more of an angled curve for my hands to grip the device, so when having a long play session, the Steam Deck is definitely a lot more comfortable. The Ally also has a curve as well, but I always felt like my fingers wanted a more aggressive curve like you would find on the Steam Deck for a more secure and comfortable grip. The ABXY buttons, bumpers, and triggers on the ROG Ally feel fine, and it follows like an Xbox controller style layout, which I do like since I'm a huge fan of the Xbox controller. And the D-pad is that hybrid circle style D-pad that allows you to easily slide your thumb across it to press the different directions. I know some people aren't really a fan of this D-pad, but I actually like it. I'm used to it anyways because I literally use my Xbox controller like every day. One thing I will say though is I'm not really a fan of the view, menu, armor crate, and the command center buttons because they have like a sharp protrusion to them, and so when I would press them over and over again while playing, it sort of become uncomfortable. And I know it's kind of a nitpick, but I just thought I would share that with you guys. The Steam Deck buttons, on the other hand, feel awesome. I think they feel much better than the Allies. There's just something about the Steam Deck's buttons that are just so satisfying to press, especially the triggers. I absolutely love the triggers on here. Oh, and the D-pad is super nice as well. It's smooth and just easy and nice to press. Of course, we can't forget about the back buttons. On the Ally, you have two back buttons that are sort of like paddles, and it's easy for me to press them because my fingers naturally rest on them, and they have like a tactile sound when you press them. Now here in the Steam Deck, you get 4 back buttons, and it's super easy for you to press them because they literally sit where you would naturally grip the device. These have to be one of the most comfortable back buttons I've ever pressed. The analog sticks are full size on the Steam Deck, and the movement is buttery smooth with a bit of resistance to them to move around, but they are slippery on the top because they don't have any rubber. It's pretty much like a matte surface on the top. And that's because they have a capacitive sensor that can sense if your thumb is resting on it or not, which comes in handy for things like gyro. But even when I put thumb grip covers on the sticks, like right now I have thumb grip covers on, the sensor is still able to detect whether my finger is resting on it or not, and gyro still works, which is pretty interesting. The sticks on the ROG Ally are a little less than full size, but honestly they feel like full size, and they're more free flowing when it comes to movement. Now the Steam Deck has something that the ROG Ally doesn't, and that is the touchpads, which can be super useful for navigating things like the desktop menus, or you can even map different buttons to them, which is pretty awesome because you can kind of use it like a second D-pad. So while I do like the button layout of the ROG Ally, I gotta give it to the Steam Deck when it comes to buttons, feel, and just the overall quality of the device. Like if I didn't know anything about these two devices and you handed them to me and asked me which one is more expensive, I definitely think it's the Steam Deck just based on quality alone. Both the Ally and Steam Deck have some pretty impressive speakers. The Steam Deck speakers can get relatively loud, but I found that the ROG Ally speakers get much louder. So when it comes to the operating system and user interface, the Steam Deck runs on SteamOS, which is a distribution of Linux, and it's a very clean and organized OS. It's very much a strong suit of the Steam Deck in my opinion. It's easy to navigate, your game library sits at the top so you can quickly access it. The Steam button on the left opens up a side menu with quick access to the store, friends list, and more. Now on the ROG Ally, oh boy, it runs on Windows 11, which really isn't optimized for smaller devices like this, because when you're trying to press things on the screen, they're like small icons, and trying to move apps and stuff like that on the screen, or just like I said, press them, it's kind of awkward. Whenever I have to mess with anything in desktop mode on the Ally, I just feel like reaching for a mouse and keyboard because I know it'll make things so much easier for me. Now, Asus did make Armoury Crate where you can add your games and launchers in one area, which is nice. It makes things a lot easier. I think the Steam Deck really takes the cake when it comes to the UI experience. Although there is some jank that happens, the custom tailored Steam OS, it just works well with the Steam Deck, and I think it just offers a console-like experience. I really love how Valve gave the Steam Deck 3 storage options to choose from. $399 gets you 64 gigs, the $529 one gives you 256 gigs of SSD storage, and the $650 variant gets you 512 gigs of SSD storage. It allows you to be more flexible with your budget. Like me, I just got the 64 gig variant and just slapped a micro SD card in there and I've been just fine. The Ally, on the other hand, only gives you one storage option of 512 gigs of SSD storage, matching that of the most expensive variant of the deck. Of course, you have the option of adding a micro SD card to add more storage, but there are many reports of people's micro SD cards frying or the reader not reading them properly, which I myself have gone through because my first card is literally just flat out dead. Like when I put it on my Ally, it literally doesn't even recognize it anymore, like nothing pops up or anything like that. And I also bought a second card to see if that would work, and my Ally just can't seem to format it. So I've just had a headache with the whole micro SD card issue with the Ally, so I really wanted to share that. Luckily, I still have the option of upgrading the internal storage to a larger one, which is probably what I might do because it doesn't seem too hard and it's literally like my last option of expanding the storage on this device. Now let's talk about the best part, the games. On the Steam Deck, you're pretty much limited to Steam's library, well, unless you do some tinkering to play some games that aren't on Steam. And if you're not into tinkering, then yeah, you're essentially limited to the library of Steam. The good thing is there are thousands of games to choose from, and what's great about the game selection on the Steam Deck is that you know which games are optimized, playable, or straight up incompatible with the Steam Deck. This is great because it would suck for someone to buy a game on Steam for their Steam Deck and later on figure out that it's not compatible with it. So props to Valve for making it very easy for you to know which games are not compatible and which games are. Now for the ROG Ally, you have access to Steam games, Xbox Game Pass, and other launchers that you would need to play some games, and this is one of my favorite things about the ROG Ally is the game selection is much larger because it runs on Windows 11 and like every PC game runs on Windows. Game Pass is such a huge win for the Ally because if you're someone who's new to Windows and you don't own any games, you have access to hundreds of games instantly just like that. Whereas if someone is new to the Steam Deck, then they're gonna have to build that Steam Deck library up over time. Luckily though, Steam has some pretty good sales when they happen, but having access to Steam and having access to Xbox Game Pass is a huge dub for me, so I'm gonna have to take the ROG Ally when it comes to game selection. When it comes to battery life, let's just say it's not really a strong suit for either of these devices, but how fast your battery will drain is really dependent on the type of game you're playing. Like on the ROG Ally, when I'm playing a AAA game like Cyberpunk 2077, I can literally just see the battery life just dwindling down, and same goes for the Steam Deck as well. But in smaller, less demanding games or even older titles, you will see an improvement with battery life on both systems. Now they do both offer ways to maximize battery life, like on the ROG Ally there's different operating modes that limit the APU wattage, and on the Steam Deck you can limit the TDP to save some power. But of course when it comes to limiting power, you can run into performance issues, so you just gotta find like a balance. But overall, I did find that the Steam Deck's battery just tended to last a little bit longer than the Ally's. But overall, I really do feel like both these devices could use a battery upgrade since the main purpose of them is to be used, well, you know, on the go. So the $699 price tag of the Ally is more in line with the most expensive Steam Deck, which is $650, and that comes with a 512 gig SSD, an anti-glare screen, and some other things, but no upgrade in internals for more performance. I do feel like the Ally is priced competitively, and for the Steam Deck, I just got the cheapest one because honestly, I really thought it was just the best value. Also, I really appreciate that the Steam Deck comes with a carrying case. As a matter of fact, let me just go ahead and grab the OEM cases for both the Steam Deck and the Ally. Okay, this is the carrying case that comes with the Steam Deck, and this is the carrying case that I had to pay $40 for the ROG Ally. And let's just say this comes nowhere close to the quality of the Steam Deck's carrying case. This is a hard top, so it's definitely gonna, protect your Steam Deck, whereas this is a soft shell. So it's not going to offer as much protection as the Steam Deck carrying case. So when it comes to long-term support, the Steam Deck has been out for way past a year, and Valve is still pushing out regular updates, and more games are being optimized for it, and the community is just massive. So I wouldn't worry about support being dropped anytime soon. As for the Ally, it's only been out for a couple of months, and it has been getting regular updates as well, but we're not sure what it's going to look like a year or two from now. So we're just gonna have to wait and see. So one issue that I ran into with the ROG Ally when I first got it, and I still run into this, is that the triggers aren't calibrated right when I'm playing some games, and this really got my nerves because I didn't know what was causing this. As you can see here in Cyberpunk, I have my trigger sensitivity to 100% on both triggers, and when I press them down to accelerate the car, it moves slowly and the brakes don't work properly either. Oh yeah, and I can't even shoot either, so you can imagine how much fun I had playing this game when this was happening. So to fix this, I had to reduce the sensitivity to 50% on both triggers, and only then did they work properly in the game. And for the Steam Deck, it's just mainly software jank that I run into. Nothing mechanical has broken or anything like that. It works just fine. I've never ran into an issue where the triggers weren't working or anything like that. Like I said, it's just mainly jank that happens in SteamOS. As an owner of both these systems, I really appreciate how they stand out in their own different way. The Ally stands out with its insane power and performance, and as someone who really values performance, this is really huge for me. When it comes to the Steam Deck, Valve has a really great foundation for it. SteamOS is much more user-friendly than Windows 11 on the Ally. The touchpads are a great addition, and overall, the build quality of this thing is just excellent. It feels and looks premium. But if I had to choose one only, I would have to go with the Ally because performance is paramount to me. If I'm playing a game, I want to be able to enjoy that game in the best way possible, and as of right now, this is the most powerful handheld that I own, and it's really been impressing me with the performance in the games that I like to play.